scat. Come on, good teachers, take off. Come on, good teachers, take off.
A musician, Travis Scott, but that's not from an episode of The Simpsons. It's a piece of fan art.
Like every time Heather thinks she's using me, I make a little notch in my belt. See?
But he did get his guitar lessons from the devil.
Sign here and you'll be the greatest guitar player who ever lived. All it'll cost you is your soul.
If you thought cartoons were all smiles and sparkles, think again. Picture this, a cartoon full of colors and goofy characters, but in the corner of the frame, something you'd never expect in a kid's movie. Whether it's subliminal messaging or just adult humor gone rogue, one thing's clear, these aren't accidents. Cartoons are being used to influence kids and sometimes manipulate them. And some experts say that's no accident. What if a single frame, just one, was enough to spark a parental panic? Let's talk about the frames they never expected you to pause on. You see, there's this old flick about a guy named Aladdin. Imagine this, Aladdin sneaking around, dodging a tiger, and a line in the background that sounds way off. It came out in the early 90s with all the magic carpets and genie jokes. But here's the deal. In one scene, he's trying to dodge a tiger, and some folks swear he mutters something like, "Teenagers, take off your clothes." Now, the official story is he says something about the tiger, but if you listen close, you might not hear the tiger talk.
On good teachers, take off. On good teachers, take off.
This scene happens when Jasmine's tiger Raja gets a bit too close for comfort. Some parents noticed it when watching with subtitles off. It's been debated for years on forums and websites. But Pixar didn't shy away from slipping adult nods into emotional adventures either. Jump over to a newer one, Inside Out. Cute, colorful, emotional chaos inside a girl's head. But there's this weird little comment in there about San Francisco and bears. One emotion says he saw a big hairy guy who looked like a bear. If you know, you know. It's not about actual bears. The line was said by the anger character during a panic. San Francisco is known for its LGBTQ+ community, so the line hit different for some viewers. Pixar never commented directly on the interpretation. Not sure what's wilder, emotional trauma or coded bear jokes in a kids' movie. Even insect heroes can stumble into territory that's not exactly G-rated. You laughed as a kid, but as an adult, you see it. Were the writers sneaking jokes in for grown-ups, or just being reckless? Then, there's A Bug's Life. Picture a cheering insect crowd, circus bugs doing a routine, and a fly shouting something way too suggestive. It's all about this little ant trying to save his colony, and he recruits a bunch of circus bugs. One of them's a ladybug who's always grumpy. During a show, a fly hollers, "Hey cutie, wanna pollinate with a real bug?" Yeah, that's in a kid's movie. Pollinate. Real subtle, guys. The joke plays on bug biology in a not-so-subtle way. The scene happens in front of a cheering crowd of insects. Some parents felt the line crossed a line for young viewers. And let's be honest, biology class never taught it quite like Pixar did. Speaking of oddly placed humor, some animations leave almost nothing to imagination. Now, remember Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove? Big, goofy guy with a heart of gold? There's this bit where he's camping and his little tent is pitched in a real odd spot. Like, of all the places to set up camp, the animators decided to cover just the middle. Take from that what you will. The tent flaps barely cover his waist. His chest and legs stick out fully. The choice made some folks laugh, others squint. Sometimes even roadside signs aren't as innocent as they first appear. Let's talk about Cars. The first one, the kid favorite. Lightning McQueen zipping down the road, lots of jokes, all good stuff. But wait, on the side of the road there's a truck stop sign that says all waitresses are convertibles. Think about it. Top down? Yeah, that joke's not about car parts. The sign flashes by quickly during a highway scene. It's meant to look like an old diner ad. Some argue it's a nod to adult roadside humor. Guess Lightning's pit crew wasn't the only thing that needed parental guidance. Even older classics had their blink and you'll miss it controversies. And The Rescuers? That one's old. Came out way back in the 70s. Cute mice trying to save a little girl. But if you pause it just right while the mice are flying through the city, there's a window in the background. And inside, there's a topless woman. Plain as day. Disney later said someone snuck that in during editing. They had to pull thousands of VHS tapes off shelves. The image was only in 2 frames. It was spotted by viewers freeze-framing the scene. Disney quickly issued a statement and recalled the tapes. And even fairy tales occasionally hide visuals that feel oddly suggestive. Picture Gus, the mouse, hustling with a string of beads, and the visual? Suggestive to say the least. In Cinderella at one point, the mice are trying to carry a bunch of beads. But where do they stash them? Gus, the chubby one, threads them onto his tail. Yeah, it's not that innocent when you really look at it. The beads slide down the tail like a string. The visual is oddly suggestive. Viewers later pointed out how it resembled certain adult items. Disney classics also sometimes spell out messages that viewers can't unsee. Guess Gus found a whole new meaning to accessorizing. Cars 2 steps it up. The sequel goes international and gets weirder. There's a gang of beat-up old cars called the Lemons, and they throw a party full of lemon drinks, lemon hats, lemon this, lemon that. One of them says, "Is this a lemon party?" If that phrase rings a bell, you've probably been on the internet too long. If it doesn't, do not look it up. Seriously, close that tab and go touch grass. Not for kids, not for adults really either. The phrase has long been tied to an infamous internet image. It raised eyebrows when the movie dropped. Pixar never addressed the line publicly. And if you thought that was bold, wait until the Muppets get involved. Muppet Treasure Island gets a bit cheeky too. Miss Piggy plays a pirate's ex-girlfriend, and she's dropping hints left and right about her past with different pirates. Kermit makes a comment like, "Oh no, him too?" It's all done with winks and grins, but yeah, it's a lot spicier than you'd expect from felt puppets. She openly flirts with Long John Silver. The implication is she's had flings with multiple pirates. The tone is more suggestive than usual Muppet content. But questionable visuals didn't stop at characters. Sometimes the backgrounds were just as eyebrow-raising. Guess Piggy had a thing for guys with hooks. Talk about commitment issues. Which brings us to another classic. Even in the Finding Nemo sequel, there's a moment where they roll past a tank labeled Mr. Ray's Fertilization Room. Kinda weird, real subtle, but if you know how fish reproduction works, that line isn't totally innocent. Fertilization in marine biology often happens externally. It's a real term, but not common in family movies. Parents raised eyebrows over that choice. Even friendly monsters occasionally peek through doors better left shut. Yup, we're talking about Monsters, Inc. now. Monsters, Inc.? Same deal. Sully's walking through a bunch of doors and you get quick glances into different rooms. One room's got some suspicious activity going on. It's fast. Blink and you miss it. But enough to make some folks do a double take. The room shows a kid with questionable behavior. It's unclear what the joke was meant to be. The scene was never clarified. Musical hits could sometimes hint at deeper personal meanings hidden in plain sight. Now, cue the music and the controversy. Even Frozen's got whispers. Elsa's big song, Let It Go, some folks claimed it was loaded with hidden meanings about letting loose and coming out. Not that the song itself is shady, but people started reading a lot into the words. Maybe too much, maybe not. The lyrics talk about hiding powers and being true to yourself. Some saw it as a metaphor for identity. Disney kept it vague. Animated cities sometimes mirrored very real-world tensions. And if that wasn't enough, even the future called us out. Even WALL-E, which looks like a cute robot movie, has scenes of humans floating around in chairs, glued to screens, totally checked out. A little too close to home, right? It's like they were calling us out. In a kids' movie, the humans can't walk anymore. They rely fully on tech. It's a blunt jab at modern habits. Even innocent-looking scenes could spark real-world concerns. And when the heat turned up, some studios quietly edited or recalled the evidence. If it was all innocent, why the cleanup? Now look at the poster for The Lion King's 2002 re-release. Seems normal. Simba, sky, Mufasa's face in the clouds. But once someone pointed it out, you couldn't unsee it. The nose on that giant face? It looks like a woman's back in a thong. Her arms raised, her hair falling down, and the sky around it? Suddenly, it's a body, not a lion. Disney pulled the image, but artists said it was a mistake. If it really was, then they've had a lot of them. The shape of the hair and sunset were carefully outlined, making the form noticeable. Viewers online started circulating zoomed-in screenshots. Disney never issued an official apology, but removed the poster quietly. Circle of Life? More like the circle of questionable marketing choices. Sometimes even artwork meant for shelves carried visuals you'd never expect. The Little Mermaid's VHS cover had its own secret. There's a golden castle in the background. Nothing weird at first glance. But one spire? It looks exactly like a private part. The kind that doesn't belong in a kid's aisle at a grocery store. A woman in Arizona saw it, told the media, and the cover got recalled. Some say the artist added it on purpose because he was losing his job. He said it was late and he wasn't thinking straight. Either way, it got through a bunch of people before someone caught it. The reprint was rushed and re-released with a slightly altered tower. Original copies became collector's items. Disney's legal team issued a statement denying intent. Lyrics and visuals could twist innocent fun into eyebrow-raising moments. Then there's Frozen, the snowy smash from 2013. Everyone knows the songs, but dig into the lines and there's stuff hiding. Anna sings about a ballroom with no balls. Olaf talks about cuddling in winter and melting in summer, but stops before saying puddle. Even kids get that joke, and it's not lighthearted. Later, Olaf stops his own song when he gets to yellow snow. Wonder why? Let's just say it's the one color in Frozen that's not safe for merch. Yellow's not a snow color anyone wants to talk about. And Kristoff? His coat looks like Sven's fur. Some fans think it's made from Sven's mom. Creepy if true. Gets worse when Olaf loses his head and asks Kristoff to grab his behind. Once he gets it reattached, he moans that it feels better. Someone wrote that line, y'all. And someone signed off on it. Kristoff also makes a gross joke about picking noses, which Anna shrugs off. Fan theories about his reindeer outfit went viral. Who knew Disney was sneaking in fire safety lessons? Because that scene was definitely too hot to handle. Just ask Snow White about the recent disaster. But what if the real agenda wasn't about jokes at all? What if they were trying to change how kids see the world? Cartoons aren't always just bright colors and goofy jokes. Sometimes, if you dig a little deeper, there's a message quietly tucked in behind the explosions and laugh tracks. And no, it's not always evil or creepy like some folks try to make it. Sometimes it's just something else. Cartoons sometimes boldly tackled real issues head-on, loud and clear. One of the earliest examples? Take that old show with the blue guy, Captain Planet. Looked like a superhero flying around saving trees, right? But it wasn't just about that. The bad guys were basically pollution in a suit. Trash piles, oil spills, smog clouds. The real villain was us, and the point was clear. Stop trashing the planet. It was loud, a little cheesy, but weirdly ahead of its time. Captain Planet walked so Greta Thunberg could run. This show wasn't trying to be sneaky, but it sure tried to shape how kids saw the world. Kinda smart, really. Animated neighborhoods sometimes quietly addressed real-life struggles. And speaking of real life, then there's Hey Arnold. Way more than just a football-headed kid with weird neighbors. That show hit different. You had stories about being poor, about being an immigrant, even about folks dealing with stuff like war and losing family. Nothing flashy, just real life, hiding in plain sight. Arnold was always trying to do the right thing, even when it was hard. For a kid's show, that's heavy. But maybe the idea was to teach kids about people who don't have it easy. Not with a lesson plan, just by showing it. Even whimsical shows could secretly question life's deeper lessons. Now, switching gears a bit, the Fairly Odd Parents looked like a sugar rush. But think about it. Timmy gets ignored by everyone. His parents, his babysitter, the world. So he gets fairy godparents who make everything better with magic. Only every wish goes sideways, over and over. Like the show's yelling, wishing for stuff doesn't fix your life. It's kinda saying, stop chasing shiny things and start dealing with stuff. Funny on the outside, but if you look close, it's poking fun at the way people buy, wish, or scroll their problems away. Superheroes often fought battles that weren't just against villains. And if we're talking internal battles, Teen Titans hit a different nerve. It had fights and powers, yeah, but it was more about what's happening inside. Raven, dealing with her dark side. Robin, obsessed with control. Every character was battling themselves more than any villain. It's like the show was sneaking in therapy sessions between battle scenes. Kids might not have noticed, but the message was there. Emotions are wild, and figuring them out takes work. Sometimes, the strangest adventures hid truths adults could deeply feel. Which brings us to the weirdest, and maybe deepest, of them all. Adventure Time, the weirdest of them all, hid more truth than most adult shows. Beneath the candy colors and talking dogs, it wrestled with heartbreak, memory loss, and even the end of the world. It felt like dreaming through a philosophy class. Grown-ups cried over cartoon vampires, and kids unknowingly absorbed emotional survival tools. These weren't just stories, they were blueprints. But if cartoons could hide that much meaning, what else is hiding in plain sight? Maybe the real manipulation isn't on our screens, but above our heads. Cartoons aren't just for laughs, they're emotional blueprints in disguise. Teen Titans and Adventure Time hid therapy behind battles and bubblegum. They taught us heartbreak, identity, and how to survive change. In our next video, geoengineering, the new global arms race, because the next battlefield might be the weather.